and I'm here once again at my desk, my favorite place to talk. When I'm at home, which is most of the time these days, I am at my desk writing, doing some classwork, some stuff I'm working on, or researching some things that interest me, um, or just wasting time. Or I'm in a room next door where I meditate, sit and read, relax. Then I got my basement burpees workshop. Those are my three main avenues of existence at home, as well as a little place to do yoga downstairs. That's the extent of my life so far. That's a tour of my day, the things that I do. Not to mention my walks first thing in the morning that I've mentioned before, and the value of getting that first light to hit the eyes before you do anything. It just sets the day up in proper sequence to allow you to get some rest later in the day. We're often not, we're not taught, for one thing. We just don't know that the things we do first thing in the morning will affect how we sleep later at night. Most specifically, the things that lend themselves to a proper night's sleep. Obviously, I didn't know that for years, and I suffered all kinds of sleep issues. Things are getting better, but I work at it. I work at it every day. So I'm up early so that I can meditate, have time to do my first round of yoga, have my one and only cup of coffee, and I sit at my desk and I write for maybe an hour or so, depending on how it's going. Sometimes if I come to the desk with something in mind, I write and it's all comes right out and it's done. Half an hour. Post it on my blog. Good to go for the day. Other times, inspiration seems to sometimes come in portions. And in between, you wait. Sometimes writing is all about waiting, being patient, knowing that words occur in silence, so you have no problem with silence. There's no issue to it. There's no issue with just sitting. The words will find me here. If I'm out there, two things to keep in mind. If I'm away from my desk, if I'm out there distracting myself because I just can't get inspired, I'm approaching it wrong. I don't get inspired. Inspiration finds me, and it finds me at my desk every day, usually about 4 o'clock in the morning. Also, sometimes you do need to get up and get away from the desk. You need to get a different energy. And the longer you spend at the writing game, the more you begin to notice the difference. When is it time to get up and move? When is the energy stuck and needs a helping hand? And when are you moving out of distraction because of the inability to be patient, to wait? That took a while for me to get that nuance between the two, the subtle difference between the two. And it took a long time for me to realize that silence is as much a part of writing, if not more, than the actual words. Remember, silence is the primordial ground of which everything arises from. Silence is that space that is not just between the notes in any song at all, it's what holds the notes. It's the underneath. Same with the emptiness of the page. Same with the emptiness of our existence. Without a core of emptiness to our selfhood, such as it is, I should say, whenever I say self, I should put in quotes, air quotes, as honestly, I have no idea what a true self is, unless we're referring to self with a capital S of reality versus self with a small s, which is a fluctuating energetic pattern of thoughts and beliefs and experiences and memories, constantly arising, dissolving in the very next moment as something else entirely. So, how can that happen? How can a self disappear and arise if it isn't based upon emptiness itself? Emptiness is the allowance of the self to come and the self to go. And that's why, as we learn to get comfortable with silence, with emptiness, we start to realize the potentiality that it holds. Remember, the Big Bang occurred in nothing. There was nothing present. Singularity of immense energy. No time, no space. Absolute. And then, for whatever reason, some simple little agitation, and it exploded, expanded, creating time and space as needed, as it went. So the entire universe came from that. With that in mind, I can trust that my writing, that my inspiration, that those words will find me, will arrive to me. So I don't need to chase anything. So when you get up from your desk to change the energy, you're not getting away. You're just clearing the mind, clearing the energy, and allowing new energy to come. So when you're either inspired, when you're in motion doing something else, or you sit back down and you see what you've written with the conclusion already in mind, things start arriving. That's my writing process. And again, it took me a long time to get there. 20 plus years. I was talking about that on my walk this morning with Mocha. How, that romantic image that I had fallen in love with of the long-suffering poet who writes in these sunbursts of inspiration and then spends the rest of the time in anguish that I can't write. Inspiration has forsaken me. I need a drink. Which is just an excuse to have a drink. It's not an excuse to write. It was only when my meditation practice deepened, when I gave up the urge for alcohol, or I should say the urge gave me up. And I had read The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield's, obviously a play on the art of war. Stephen Pressfield's wonderful, beautiful book on writing. Any artistic endeavor, actually. And in it, he says a writer shows up and writes every day, no matter what. And I took that to heart, and I wrote every day for 24, 25 years now, without missing a day, texting myself during races, just to get those words. Words on a page, words on a screen. It's been my motto. I used to say things along the lines of, that's my mantra, but I've grown sensitive to the word mantra. Mantra isn't just a phrase. It's a vibrational quality that doesn't have, at least in meditation, it doesn't have an associated meaning. It's used for that vibrational quality that returns us to silence. Now, of course, there's also Sanskrit mantras that do have a specific meaning that we use to invoke the essence. The magic of Sanskrit is, it is said that a word isn't just a description of something, as it is in English and other languages. It contains the very essence of what it's used for. So if I use the Sanskrit word for apple, which I don't know, but you know what, I've used this example before, so it might be worth looking up. Here's the thing, I'll look it up, and the first thing that will happen is I won't be able to pronounce it, as it is with most Sanskrit words. Another amazing thing with Sanskrit, I guess you can go either way. Some people say you don't need to pronounce it perfectly. Others say that it makes a big difference. I think it depends. I can go either way on it. So the Sanskrit word for apple I'm assuming they had apples. Let's see. Sivam. I might be pronouncing that right. Anyway, so the Sanskrit word for apple contains the essence of apple. It's invoked when you say it, so that you actually have the experience of apple when you say Sivam. If you're saying it right. If I'm saying it right. So classical Sanskrit doesn't actually have a word for apple. So all this time I've been using it as an example that doesn't actually fit because it's not indigenous to India. Which makes perfect sense. But you know what they do have in India? They have mangoes, because mangoes are actually used in quite a few stories. They also have elephants. Amra, A-M-R-A. So when you say that, Amra, it's the essence of mango. I believe other ancient languages, root languages, have that as well. Hebrew, I believe, and I think some indigenous languages as well, because it really hasn't been diluted. So when you meditate or you chant, there's a difference. Just because we're thinking a mantra doesn't mean we're chanting it when we meditate. You are invoking the essence of that which you are chanting. So if you're chanting for abundance and you're using an abundance mantra, you're getting the essence of that which you hope for, seek, wish for. Which means if you're getting that essence, you are already achieving the purpose of your chant. It's a win-win. So anyway, that was a bit of a detour from talking about writing, talking about inspiration. And returning to that, my motto was words on a page, which later, when I started writing mostly online, or would text myself something that I wrote, words on a page, words on a screen, every day. Didn't have to be long, could only be a few words. Didn't have to make sense to anyone else but me. Didn't have to have meaning to anyone else but me. And often, it was simply putting my thoughts, recording my thoughts, putting them on a piece of paper or putting them on the screen so that I fulfilled the obligation that I made to myself. That's important. Nowadays, I would liken it to a tapas, which is the one of the yamas. Sorry, straightening up the map behind me. One of the ethical restraints, one of the, let's see, Tapas is one of the niyamas, one of the personal observances, and it is translated as heat or a burning enthusiasm. And that's what was lit in my writing, and it propels me to this day. Again, maybe 25 years later, definitely 24 years. It's what keeps me showing up every day on the burpee mat. It's what keeps me meditating every single day. A lot of people think, well, you know, you got lucky, you stumbled onto these rituals. I made these rituals for myself. I made the commitment to do this every day, to meditate every day, to do yoga every day, to write every day, to exercise every day, to get outside and walk, get fresh air, be out in nature every single day. And I do. And I don't miss a day. That's the important thing. That's the commitment. You only have to make it to yourself. I know there's a lot of, sorry, my back mat is a little uncomfortable. A lot of people, you know, like to say, get out there, make that bold announcement to everyone, and that way you have to live up to that commitment. If it works for you, fine. Me, the commitment you make to yourself, that's the one. That's the one that counts. Because, you know what? End of the day, that's who you're with. That's who you're alone with. You got to face your own disappointment. I'm not a big believer in disappointment. I cut myself a ton of slack. And here's the funny thing. Knowing that I do, I most often don't, if that makes sense. I don't need to. Because things get fulfilled on their own when you set the intent. It's not a struggle for me to get up in the morning and write. I want to get up every morning and write. It's not a struggle for me to get up and do burpees. I want to do burpees every single day. That is tapas. That's that burning enthusiasm, the discipline to get things done. It's not, I'm not imposing an order upon myself. I'm fulfilling a desire that's present. Sometimes you need to set that intention for the desire to be there. Sometimes it's already there. How do you do it? I think that might be a question for another conversation, maybe tomorrow, because I think it will take us in a whole nother direction. And for today, coming up on 20 minutes, and we think we'll call that a day. And leave it at that. We've talked a bit about inspiration and meditation and Sanskrit and the yamas and niyamas, as always. That's enough. No one here needs to hear me for longer than 20 minutes. And that actually might be 19 minutes too long for many people, for some. With that in mind, we'll be back tomorrow. And we'll talk for another 19 minutes and 55 seconds, or thereabouts. Thanks, guys, for anyone who comes along later and watches this. Very much appreciated. I keep being told that I'm supposed to say, click the like button and subscribe. You know what? You can if you want. I appreciate it. I appreciate the company, even if you just pop on for a few minutes. So, thanks, guys. You have a good day.